We asked you earlier who had the better comeback in their bowl game. Famous Jameis or Johnny Football? Results are in. Johnny Football, 53%.
Way to go. Got some smart people out there.
And Jameis received 47%. Skip Bayless, your take.
Stephen A. Smith, I'm sorry, this isn't even close. I respect the heck out of what Jameis Winston did on the national championship stage, but it came against Auburn's 104th ranked pass defense. What Johnny Manziel did in that bowl game was just astonishing. He took a team from Texas A&M that didn't even want to play that bowl game against Duke, down 38-17 at half. He strapped that team on his stout back, and he brought it back to 4 straight touchdowns in the second half, starting with that Houdini-esque escape from the pile, rolling left, throwing across his body, flipping it to his buddy Travis Labhart for 19 yards for the first touchdown, and climaxing with that show-stopping bomb, 44 yards to Darrell Walker, that just brought down the house on college football. Second half alone, Johnny Football was 12 of 13 for 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for another touchdown, and had a QBR on a scale of 0 to 100 of 99.4. Jameis Winston was terrific. Fourth quarter, 9 of 11 for 117 yards, but 89 of those yards came after the catch. And as I told you yesterday, his fourth quarter passes traveled a total of average 3.6 yards across the line of scrimmage. He was dinking and he was dunking all the way down to a 2-yard pass to a 6'5" receiver on a 5'11" cornerback that won the football game. Nice comeback, but no Johnny Football.
I disagree respectfully on this one, Skip Bayless, because I understand. I watched that game with Duke and Johnny Football, and Johnny Football was absolutely sensational in the second half. No doubt about it, being down 38-17, going up against a Duke team. By the way, it is Duke after all. Even though they've had improved this year, they were 10-4 this year. Lost a bowl game last year when they were 6-7. The 2 years before that, they were 3-9. I'm not overly excited about what he did against Duke, but he does deserve credit because he still was sensational, particularly when he leaped over the offensive lineman, scrambled back out of the pocket and threw that touchdown pass. But I guess what I'm saying is I look at Jameis Winston, and I'm going to say this again. There are plenty of quarterbacks that have dinked and dunked and all of that stuff and dipped it to everybody, and we understand it. I've seen Peyton Manning do it on many occasions. I've seen Drew Brees and others do it on many occasions, even though they could obviously throw the ball downfield. In the end, I'm going to remind you that we're talking about a redshirt freshman here with 1:19 left and a deficit with a national championship on the line. Sometimes the biggest opponent is the moment, and that's where I'm going here. Yes, Johnny looked better, and yes, statistically, and what he was able to do in bringing them back from a 21-point deficit, it was definitely impressive. But I will remind you the Florida State Seminoles were down 21-3. They scored 17 unanswered points. I would remind you that they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. I will remind you that they did this with a redshirt freshman with a national championship on the line. And oh, by the way, before that last touchdown came, it was following Trey Mason's 37-yard scamper where he broke 3 tackles before going into the end zone and doing the Heisman pose and pumping his chest like he should have been the Heisman Trophy winner and not Jameis Winston. And so seeing all of this, knowing all of this, I'm watching the language on the sidelines with Jameis Winston. I'm watching a dude that fully expected to go out there and win a national championship. And then I watched him over the final 79 seconds do just that. Win the Florida State Seminoles a national title. The moment, to me, is what makes this bigger than what Johnny Manziel did.
Okay, but you realize that Johnny torched the Auburn defense, and A.J. torched the Auburn defense. A lot of SEC quarterbacks.
Yeah, but you know this better than me. Auburn's defense at no time this year looked the way that they looked Monday night.
Well,
I mean, you even
Jameis had a rocky night for 3 quarters.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is, why did he have a rocky night? Because that defense came out. It wasn't, you said it, you called it. You talked about what D4 was going to do, but it wasn't just him. That entire Auburn defense showed up.
Okay.
And they showed up and played like we had never seen them play.
Florida State's defense also showed up.
Yeah.
They were really stout. They actually impressed me. They were ranked 3rd nationally. You realize Johnny's defense was just god-awful this year. It was ranked 109th in the country. It did not want to play against Duke. And you saw the game. You saw what he was doing. He's screaming at everybody on the side. He's screaming at the defensive coordinator. he elevated that entire roster, offense and defense, and just said, nope, I refuse. We are not going to lose this football game. I've never seen anything quite like it before, which is why I think he will translate into pro football.